This meeting is now being recorded.
Okay, hello everybody to another session of the XStepCafe. I'll switch over to my blog post to make a small announcement. I have, as you know, I have added the forum some time ago. Well, it's not very much used, but it's also not very nice looking, I think. So maybe that's why I thought to also add something new, like social media, and I've added a Google Plus community in my Google Plus account, which is called XStepCafe. So you can just click on that badge there, and there you can add your comments, start up a new discussion. I've also added some new categories here, and yeah, probably maybe this is a little bit more lively and for you as a platform. So that's what I wanted to just to announce, and yeah, and welcome everybody here on the call. Do you have any remarks, questions on this show? Anything you need me or Uwe to discuss? No. Okay, so maybe some questions come up later. Then I'd like to hand over to Uwe and let him start his presentation. I'll just stop sharing my screen, and Uwe, it's all yours.
Hello everybody. So I'm just trying to share the screen. I prepared two things. Okay. So now you should see PowerPoint slide, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. There are two topics that we got on our agenda today. One thing is something that I developed a couple of months ago that allows us to scan the database tables and XML sheets of PI sheet and browser-based, and electronic work instructions for inconsistencies. This I just want to show you. And also something where you might have come across is now the possibility that you can create your own calculation of the valid from date for SXS versions. A topic that came up also during a customer message where the colleagues from maintenance and also colleagues from our consulting, we figured out a quite good solution with the help of a body, and I want just to show you what you can achieve with this body. Okay, first thing, there's now a test report available, so it's described in a document that I put on the SAP community network that allows you easily to detect inconsistent data sets. So what you all know is that the transactions CO60 and CO60XT, that there are some menu entries where you are able to delete browser-based PI sheets and electronic work instructions if desired. And if you execute the deletion functionality, normally all database tables that store data of the selected PI sheets are, say the entries are deleted and removed, and also the two XML files that come across with the PI sheet are also removed from the database. So this really fits for most cases, but it can be for, let's say, in a few cases that not all entries are removed. So we had this sometimes when we have side effects of corrections that prevented the complete deletions, or also if you have, let's say, trouble with the database, which can also be the case. And here the situation is we have one leading database table where you know perhaps the application step of a browser-based PI sheet, and here we got a data set with this is equal to the document ID, meaning the number of the control CP or browser-based PI sheet. And as far as if this database table entry, the application step entry, is removed from the database, you have no chance to see the browser-based PI sheet showing up in CO60 and CO60XT anymore. And what we discovered in some cases, also in our, let's say, test system, where we did a lot of web stuff, is that as far as if we execute a deletion, sometimes the POC DB other step entry was removed, but other database table entries of database tables that belong, that store PI sheet data, that they are not cleaned up consistently. And the situation also in the standard is that you have no chance to detect such orphaned data and remove it. Especially for the scanning, we provided this report, which is described in this SDN publication. That's linked here, and you can also find it in our SDN community for manufacturing. So, if you execute the report, I will show this later on in a slide demo, and then you get a result list. And what you see here, you can also select the range of PI sheets that you want to scan. And if you get such indicators, this means, okay, here we got orphaned data, meaning that you can also see here, there's no entry anymore in the application step table. You don't have any layered XMLs and data XMLs. But you see here also in the sum column that for especially this PI sheet, we have 9 orphaned data sets in other tables. This is the compressed result view. And if you are interested in getting more information, you can also have a look at all the PI sheet database tables that store data for PI sheets. And this is just the example. We have also another PI sheet which has no data XML, no layered XML anymore, no application step, but 2 entries in the C command table. And
Uwe,
yes?
just a question. Do I have any negative impact on the if I have orphaned data besides full table that are filling my hard disk drive? Do I have any impact in the PI sheet?
No, normally not, because if you have orphaned data, and here it seems, especially in this case, this is one of PI sheets of our test system, that the PI sheet has been deleted. And if there's no application step entry at all, you won't see this PI sheet in CO60, and also the data which is stored here for PI sheet 1960 isn't loaded if you, let's say, would call another PI sheet that's currently active in the system. So this is not the case. And also what we discovered in our system is that the rate of let's say orphaned data is quite low, but if you have at least, if you detect, you use this report and detect, okay, we have, say, 2,000 data sets, and then you might run into trouble if this effect persists. So if let's say the number of orphaned data increases with time because you are not able to delete those data sets with the help of CO60 or CO60XT, because at least if this entry here, the application step entry, is missing, you're not able to load and delete the complete PI sheet data if you want to. So it's just a scan report, okay?
And the archiving application won't find this orphaned data?
No. Okay. So if you use the archiving functionality for that we also offered to store an optical disk, then normally also if you execute the deletion is executed completely, and you won't also find this. Yeah. So they just remain in the database tables, and so it's just to help to scan if you might have problems if, let's say, at least the amount of orphan data sets increases over time. Yeah, we had, so in our systems, we can, so just leave shortly the presentation and show you an example in one of our systems. So I hope you can see this ABAP program.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Here's the entry screen that the report offers. So you can just enter here a range of, define a range of PI sheets. The document ID is the PI sheet number, which is also equal to the number of the corresponding control recipe or control instruction. Here's also say a parameter that allows you to show all the results for the document IDs. So it could be if you have archived a couple of PI sheets that come across that are inside this range, then you normally would not find any data on the database table, because if you execute archive and delete the corresponding sets from the database table after archiving, it should be also tidied up in the database tables. And so here we just set this mark to get all entries from 960, 961 until 1030. And here is an indicator or the parameter that allows you to show the details. So we just picked up some examples here in our system. And as you can see, this is a test system where we also try out corrections, and let's say the risk of getting inconsistent data is quite higher than the productive system. We'll have let's say at least found some data sets. One thing that is also mentioned in the document, if you don't find any, if you check for a distinct PI sheet in the database table, and the database table is large and you don't have any entries, the system will execute at least the full table scan. So concerning performance, you will have long run times if you at least define a range of PI sheet numbers that's too large. Here you see, okay, it took some seconds for scanning them, and here we get a number. Here we scan 71, and we displayed also 71 because I want to have all entries. Here is the first entry that indicates, okay, we saw this earlier. We have at least some data in database tables that belong to the PI sheet, but the important data like data XML, layer XML, and applications that they are removed, have been removed. So later on you see, okay, the number of data sets that is quite remaining as orphan data is very low. And just trying to scroll up a little bit. Just want to point here to this entry. This is an entry for a browser-based PI sheet that we will be able to see in your transaction CO60. If you see here, we got more than 1,000 database table entries in all tables of the PI sheet. You can also see here that we have the data XML and layered XML. They exist. And also we have here the entry for the POC-DB Xstep that allows us to load the PI sheet from the database. Okay, so these are also numbers that are quite useful, let's say, quite normal for medium-sized PI sheets. And just to get one step back, and if you are interested in getting the full-blown, if we are just we want to see more details, and this is also interested for, let's say, more basic like analysis. Then you see here also database table. Just what has been removed is in this column is the prefix of the database table. Here we get POC_DB_, and the application step table is then POC_DB Xstep. What you can see here we got in the C command table some orphan data. Here also in, I think this is the operation table. So just a typo here in the column header, and also in the step table. So I think these are the collection tables. So really basic stuff. And if you also would find here, we have, let's say, this productively used PI sheet, if we would have entries that remained in larger size for a PI sheet, then this is an indicator that something really went wrong during deletion of the data. If everything else, at least if these three, let's say if the data XML, layout XML, and the application steps are removed. But this is not the case. You see here some orphan data. This is something where I would not, let's say, be quite scared about, because also the consumed amount of data is low. But here for scanning for inconsistencies, I think this is quite helpful. We also had this in a test where we also wanted to show or to demonstrate that the deletion run after archiving PI sheets or an electronic work instructions has, let's say, removed all of the database table entries that belong to the archived PI sheets. So, and this is completely described in the PowerPoint presentation. Are there any questions so far for the concerning the scanning report?
No.
Uwe, so every line in this report is something wrong here. So
it's only wrong if you have this. So we get also two tips. If you have, let's say, this red cross.
Oh, okay.
So here, is
it possible to filter there so that you only see the lines which are wrong?
Okay. Perhaps I just show this. So so now we should get a compressed list. So the idea here is also if I just define the range and I want to search for orphans, then I can't rely on the fact that we have, let's say, an entry for a 961 in the XStep table. So I have to search for 961 in all tables, and therefore have this range here. And what you can see here, here we just filtered out all the data sets where we have no data on the database table, assuming that we have, let's say, the number range of the PI sheet that's in sequence, so that the next PI sheet that we create gets the higher number from the number range. Yeah, and so here we get in this range, we also get only the ones with orphan data and also the ones for the complete data. So what you can also surely do is to use this report that we described in the document. It's a set report, and apply also a filter if you just want to see only the corrupted data or the data where we have, let's say, database table entries that haven't been removed. Yeah.
So the ones with the yellow bulb are active ones. They are still, you will see these with 060. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah.
Because it's interesting, the sum of lines in the databases for an active PI sheet, which is 2,442, for example, which is quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. So you can also see here also the collection for if you have some use of commands that you implemented, or let's say that you have functions in the PI sheet. So, okay, this is just what I want to show you for in this part. So I will just try to return. Okay. Arne, okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So next part is something that might have teased you also for a while. With the help of since enhancement package 2, we introduced the possibility that you execute an automatic calculation of the valid to date for SXS version. Transaction is CMX21, and here the problem is the problem that some of you might run into is if you once have released the SXS version for test, and then the case is that if you have other SXS versions that are already released, that the valid to date for those released SXS versions isn't recalculated. So I will just, to make it more clear, show you some pictures about this. Here we have, let's say, the SAP standard logic, and with the help of the new node, which is described here and also linked here, we introduce the new body, and with the help of this body, you can at least define your own logic how to handle valid to dates for SXS versions that have been released so far. Just to show you, here is a screenshot. We have a standard Xstep with 3 versions. One version I just released and approved it. And you see here also the validity period was the 20th, so today, of February until the 26th. Why have we set this to 26th? Because we have another version 2, which has a valid to date of 27th of February. And during releasing this version for testing, we have an adjustment of the valid to date for the already released and approved SXS version. Okay. So what then happens, this is something that we didn't have in focus, is that somebody who released the version for testing took it back into process, which is not the problem, but changed the validity date. So we see here, okay, I decided that I want not to start with the 27th of February, but with the 1st of March. And what then happens with version 1, with the valid to date, in the SAP standard case, is that we don't have, let's say, an adjustment here. And in worst cases, if you have more versions like this, then you might have a gap if you release this the second version again, because here we have, let's say, at least at the 27th of February, we don't have valid SXS versions. So we only have the released version, which lasts to the 26th of February. Okay, with the help of the body, cellular logic can be implemented differently. And what we also ship with the body is a sample class, and the sample class has an implemented logic that prevents at least the creation of this mentioned gap. Here we have, let's say, the same example with the active body. We have also the version that was released and approved, which ends on 26th of February. We have changed the validity date of this version 2, the 1st of March. And as far as we are going to release the second version for testing, the system discovers, okay, here I've got an earlier version that ended before, and I want to adjust the old valid to date to the new valid to date of 28th of February. So we can just then click adopt values or cancel it if you adopt values. Then you have the situation that the gap disappeared, and here the version 1 now has a valid to date to 28th of February, and seamless starting the second version to the 1st of March. So, and this is something that is now possible for you, and we know that it's not that easy to implement it, so we also described in the in the source coding of the two body methods how you can adjust it, and so this might help you to at least avoid such gaps that are not that easy to explain to external auditors, as an example. Okay, this is something I would just want to show to you. Any questions?
No.
Hi, this is Raghu.
Hi.
I have a question. Like in the body, currently we don't have any coding inside, right? We can code it based on our needs, right? Whatever the business requirement. But currently we don't have anything. Just we have the blank body template. Can add any codes. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So we just ship the body definition. We don't ship any active implementation because we also want not to change the standard algorithm. As I just said, we provide the sample class, and if you create your own implementation, then the system just offers you to copy the sample class into your own class in a set namespace. So you have at least the logic that I just demonstrated it here.
Okay.
And but you can also decide say, okay, if I implement it, I would just want to have an empty implementation. What you then also get is at least the interface, let's say the methods, empty methods with the interface parameters that you require them to fill. So
okay, thanks.
This is the way how it should work. Okay, I just promised Anna not to show you too much technical details.
Yeah, I had the fear that you were too overwhelmed with too much ABAP and deep tech stuff. But if you want, you can have more, I believe.
Yeah.
Just tell us.
Okay. So that's it, at least from my side. And we just hand over to you, Anna.
Okay, thank you, Uwe. So that was a nice presentation of two topics, very helpful, I think. Yes, any other comments or questions which you had in the long time, pause time? No? Okay. Then we can...
I have one question. Is a lot of people are using shift note? Because we are studying it to use it, but we are not in EHP 5 yet. We are in EHP 4, but the functionality is a little bit small in EHP 4. Do you know if there is
actually, I know the colleague who has done that as a solution manager, and I don't know much about it. Uwe, do you know more about the shift notes?
No.
Since it's not related to Xsteps and PI sheets, really, this is a little bit. But
we did some trials also to create shift notes with the help of dynamic function calls and Xsteps, and this quite worked. I'm pretty sure that customers out there use the shift notes, but I can't tell you what's their favorite enhancement package, because also the functionalities of the shift notes evolved from time. What we can, if you're more interested, we can ask the colleagues.
Maybe
if they
you
have
can,
more details.
Yeah, maybe you can send us or me an email, and I will just forward this to the colleague, and maybe he has some answers. Just state your question in an email to me, and we'll take care of it. Okay?
Thank you.
Arne, this is Raghu. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Currently we use the scope of generation for the co-product, and actually speaking, I think the naming convention they changed for, in the actual ones, if you use the co-products, work for byproducts. If you use the byproduct scope of generation, that's work for co-product. I think we had to change the wording in the, this is a very minor correction. So already the correction is in place, or still we are going with the other ones. If you want to use the co-product, scope of generation, we have to use the byproduct in the current pack.
As you might know, I don't follow the details nowadays anymore so much closely.
Okay.
But Uwe, do you know something about that? Is that some changing in the wording?
Yeah. So I'm just telling. In the current client I'm working, I use scope of generation for byproduct, but this works for co-product. But both are like interchangeable.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that I don't know if they fix it with a note, but I also this came across the tables. That here the wording is not that proper. So.
Okay, interesting. Anything else? Okay, seems not to be the case. Maybe a question to the audience is: do you miss anything in these sessions, and anything we should cover more in future, or are you fine with that? How we do it?
And Arne, I have one suggestion.
Yes.
For the scope of generation, most of the clients, they need material-specific scope of generation within the phase. So from SAP standpoint, you can create one scope of generation based on the material sort string. So that can be made as a standard scope of generation from SAP standpoint. So that can be used by other clients. Most of the time, we end up creating a custom scope of generation for material specific using sort string field or some other custom field.
But that's I mean how it is meant to be, yeah. So because we cannot really foresee any variation of different generation and scope needs, and therefore we just create that body to get that flexibility. Yeah. And I believe it's not a very hard thing to do. So also with my documents that I created for that.
Yeah.
Ani?
Yes.
What is interesting for us is still the weigh and dispense area, and what's interesting for me is all the other companies who implemented Xsteps, who is applying what technology for weigh and dispense. Are they working with OLE? Are they working with the customer solution from SAP, or how are they communicating with their scales? It's interesting because right now we still do have a discussion on weigh and dispense and how to implement.
Just for your information, we contacted SAP, I think 1.5 years ago about this, and finally we did our custom development to integrate OPC scale directly in the PI sheet.
Okay.
With a way bar.
Okay. Because for Singapore plant we have done an integration with OPC scale. What I'm still missing is the customer solution, and I'm in discussion, and I'm very interested in who is applying the customer solution that's offered by SAP. But perhaps I should ask the consultant.
Do you mean the now it's now called an RDS solution, so the rapid deployment solution, which is offered by SAP Consulting, or?
Yeah, I mean the solution which is offered by SAP Consulting.
Yes. So the one that I already also put on my blog.
Correct.
Yes.
Because
I don't think I'm allowed to disclose the customer names without their approval. I can ask a colleague who they are, but I don't think I can put this to the open.
Yeah, it's very interesting because all the plants I know are using something for the scaling. Perhaps they are using. I can say that I think somewhere between 6 and 10 customers have implemented this now, so it's still ongoing. So it's
doing fine.
Because I will run into discussion. Once we are rolling out, let's say, Xstep solution, and for example, we in Ludwigshafen, we do have one of the MES scale implementations like Verum, like Rockwell, like POMS, and so on. And the problem is always how to do an electronic batch recording if you are applying a different solution on the weighing dispense, and how to interact. For me, it would be the best situation if you have all in one hand, and if you are communicating with your scales with one software. And it would be interesting if I would hear how many other companies do have a problem with this weighing dispense area into the electronic batch recording.
But I'm not sure whether you are sort of requesting reference customer visits or discussions with customers who are already using that. Because that is should not be a problem. I can then pass your request on to somebody who takes care of asking customers whether they are willing to get a visit from you, for example.
Yeah, but it would be great if you do have some customers here in Germany.
We have.
Okay. That would be great.
Maybe could you send me an email with this request and I just pass it on?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, sure. You're welcome. Okay. Anything else? Okay. In that case, I suggest we just leave it for today. And thanks for joining us. And I'll try to make a new appointment in 2 months again, roughly. I will check my calendar, and please check the blog post. And maybe just a quick question: is it okay to make these small announcement emails that I just did today?
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to spam anybody, sorry. And I don't know. Would you like to get this email on the same day, or maybe 1 day in advance, or would you like to have it?
1 day in advance would be a little bit better.
Okay. I mean, okay, probably better. Okay, I just did it because I just thought maybe this is a good idea, and it was just 1 hour before. But maybe I do it 1 day in advance if I think about it. Okay.
Because for the colleagues from Lake County or from US, they will have a problem getting an email at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, then thank you for joining us, and till next time. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.